The miracles of Jesus, Moses in the burning bush, Noah's Ark, Adam and Eve. We already know these stories and these characters and a few others in the Bible. But the Bible is filled with so much more aside from them. And there have been a few that are really interesting. It makes you think, why is that story there, or why is he or she there? In this video, we'll look at 9 shocking stories and characters we can find in the Bible. Number 1. Uticus of Troas. This is the first time you've probably heard of his name, but most probably, you can relate to what he did. Have you ever fallen asleep while listening to someone? In class, to your mom, or in mass? Yeah, I'm sure we all did. That happened to Uticus, and more. Uticus was a young man who did his best to keep awake and listen to Paul while he continued to give him instructions. Unfortunately, you wouldn't want to experience what happened to him next. While sitting on the windowsill on the 3rd floor, he fell asleep and literally fell asleep to his death. Talk about falling asleep, huh? But good thing all ended well. Paul rushed down to Uticus' lifeless body, embraced him and whispered, "Don't be alarmed, there is life in him." And the young man was brought back to life by Paul's embrace of faith. But I guess being brought back to life isn't as shocking as falling asleep to your death. Number 2. Elisha. Elisha was the successor of Elijah, and together they were known as the school of prophets in the Old Testament. They're literally the old school. One time, Elisha and his servants went by the Jordan to cut trees for lumber to use to build for a home for the guild prophets. While cutting down trees, the axe used by one of the servants fell into the water. The servant was worried because he only borrowed the axe and asked for Elisha's help. Elisha took a stick, threw it in the water, and guess what? The axe miraculously floated to the surface. I wish that would have happened when I lost my keys, my glasses, my phone, yeah, carry on. Number 3. Tamar. Tamar, the widow of got pregnant by her very own father-in-law. If a story like this happened today, it would have been viral. It would have broken the record for posts, reposts, comments, memes, and more in social media history. Here's the story. Tamar disguised as a prostitute and seduced her father-in-law, Judah, and intentionally got pregnant by him. Why? Security. During the time, Jewish widows, especially those who were childless, were most vulnerable, left to live in poverty and subject to abuse without the protection and support of a husband or child. Tamar gave birth to twin sons. She was about to be stoned to death for adultery, but she was able to prove that Judah was the father of her children. Judah admitted his guilt and Tamar was saved. Number 4. Absalom. Remember the 2010 Disney movie Tangled?
A healthy baby girl. A princess was born. That's Rapunzel.
Rapunzel is blessed with her long blonde locks that has the power to heal wounds, cure sickness, and reverse aging. Sadly, the same can't be said of Absalom, son of King David, who also sported lovely long hair, because in the end, it cost him his life. Absalom staged a coup and forced his father, King David, out of Jerusalem. But the king fought to get his kingdom back while experiencing the pain of his favorite son's betrayal. When Absalom felt he was losing the battle, he fled on a horse. But his long hair got tangled and left him hanging on a tree. He was caught and killed by his father's men. I guess he didn't use a conditioner with Moroccan argan oil. Too bad. Number 5. Sisera. Such a nice name, don't you think? Sisera. But what he saw wasn't so nice at all. The Canaanite Sisera fled the battle as he saw all his men die in the hands of the Israelite Barak's troops. On foot, Sisera came upon the tent of Jael, wife of Heber the Kenite. Jael met Sisera and helped hide him in the tent. She also agreed to guard the tent and deny Sisera's presence in case anyone comes to look for him. Jael encouraged Sisera to rest and get some sleep. But as he slept, Jael took a mallet and a tent peg and drove the peg into Sisera's temple. Yeah, this could be a Tarantino film. Unknown to Sisera, Jael was a foe who pretended to be a friend. Number 6. Elisha. Yes, Elisha again. Being a prophet is a tough mission, as Elisha has experienced. In one of his travels, he encountered a gang of young boys who called him names, harassed him, and gave him a hard time. But God is faithful to protect his messenger. The Lord sent 2 she-bears that sadly killed 42 boys in the gang. Now that's what you call a very good backup. Number 7. Balaam the diviner. Do you know what that is, diviner? Well, this story might explain it. The Israelites were winning battles and conquering cities in their quest for the promised land. The Moabite king Balak feared he would lose against them, so he thought of another weapon to use. The king sent for Balaam the diviner and asked him to put a curse on the Israelites. The king believed this is the way to defeat them. Balaam declined the king's request twice after hearing God's warning, but on the 3rd time the king spoke to him, Balaam set off to find the Israelites and put a curse upon them. While on the road, Balaam rode a donkey, but it began to act strangely. First, it ran away. Next, the donkey squeezed Balaam's leg against the wall. And then lastly, the donkey began talking. Dr. Doolittle, is that you?
You have a drinking problem, and I suggest that you stop drinking, because I think you might be an alcoholic.
Really? The donkey said to Balaam that she behaved the way she did because she saw God's angel blocking their path. The angel himself then appeared to Balaam and since turned his mission of cursing into one of blessing. Now, he's Balaam the donkey whisperer. Just kidding. Number 8. Hosea and Gomer. Would you marry someone who is destined to break your heart? Would you marry someone who is destined to have affairs with other men? Well, Hosea did. Hosea heard the Lord tell him to marry Gomer, a promiscuous woman, and raise a family with her. Despite the heartbreak that is to come, Hosea obeyed the Lord and could only hope that his wife-to-be would someday change her ways and share his faith. It was harder than Hosea expected. After their wedding, Hosea heard rumors about Gomer having affairs with other men. He wasn't even sure if he fathered all their children. What became of Hosea? He was a disappointed father, a betrayed husband, and a bewildered preacher. But wait, there's more. God did not stop there. Gomer was being sold off as a slave, so God told Hosea to buy her back. What do you think was going on in Hosea's mind? He must have complained to God, "She threw away my love for her. Why should I buy back what is already mine?" But Hosea did as the Lord asked him anyway. Number 9. John the Baptist. Off with his head. The Red Queen in Lewis's carol's Alice in Wonderland said this. So did Queen Margaret in Shakespeare's Henry VI, Part 3. Herodias, wife of King Herod and ex-wife of the king's brother, also asked for this unthinkable gift, the head of John the Baptist. It was predictable of Herodias to seek revenge on the prophet who criticized her relationship with her brother-in-law. But to ask for John's head on a platter? Why? I mean, why? Will she eat that? Nah, anyway. Herod could have refused her request, especially when he was secretly curious about John. However, his ego got the best of him when, while watching Salome, Herodias' daughter, dance, he promised to give her anything. And so, off went John the Baptist's head. These characters and their stories are all part of the Bible. Messy, shocking, discouraging, scandalous. But still, it was part of it. And just the same, we all have our own shocking stories to share. And as sad or as hurtful as it may be, it's still part of our bigger story. The question is, how would you want it to end?
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to click the like button and tell people and all your friends and family about the inspiration they can receive here. And remember to subscribe and click the bell icon so that you get notified when we're going to upload the next inspiring video.